Here I am, finally making a review of the Panasonic Lumix GH6, a video flagship micro four thirds camera for a photographer. Yeah, let's go. Hi, it's Cheng here from RED35. I am indeed reviewing the GH6 as a photographic tool as an addition to my OM system and Olympus camera lineup. Just an advance notice for those who've become a Micro Four Thirds fan. I've also ordered the brand new G9 Mark II, which should arrive in a month or so. And if you fancy hearing my view on that camera as well, remember to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any content from me. And off the book, yes, I will be comparing the image quality between all these three flagship cameras, the GH6, the G9 Mark II, and the OM1. So stay tuned. Anyway, my video here is primarily for photographers, as most reviews on the GH6 are, well, quite rightly so, focused on video capabilities. But as a professional photographer, I would like to answer a few questions for myself, and by doing so, hoping to help you understand the camera strength and weaknesses as a photographic tool and help you decide if the GH6 is the right camera for you. Before I deep dive into the review, just to let you know that I am a Micro Four Thirds advocate, but I also use full frame and APS-C cameras. But anyway, I believe in this platform, and I'm also an OM system ambassador. But this review is completely independent, and I bought the camera myself, and this video is certainly not sponsored by Panasonic. Whew. Okay, fine print read. Let's go into the review. The GH6 is the flagship video camera for Panasonic, and it shows here. The build quality is among the best in class, and really, I can't find any fault in its construction and finish. All the buttons and dials feel premium with absolutely no squeaks or rattle anywhere. And strangely, I particularly love the battery and memory card store. The latter is possibly the best in all my Micro Four Thirds camera collection, and maybe even better than the M1X, which has the best memory card door in the Micro Four Thirds world. It feels super solid, and the slide action and release feel secure, and that click was just so satisfying to hear and to feel. The shutter button, a button that a photographer would touch the most, has a reassuring feel, on par with my OM1. And that's a difference, but not significant to say that one is better than the other. Just feels different. So in terms of build, you can't really argue that the GH6 is a flagship camera. And now, let's talk about the design, which is a bit personal. And everyone is different, of course, and still, I would recommend you to go to a camera store and try the camera in your hand to make sure that it is a camera for you. My experience with the GH6 is mixed. Not because it is bigger, heavier, and thicker than my usual EM1 and OM1 cameras, but it's the ergonomic of it, how it fits in my hand. Well, I have a smallish hand, and I feel that the OM1 strikes the balance in terms of grip size. The GH6, however, is a tad too big for my liking, and the rear thumb rest is also significantly shallower than the OM1, and making the overall fit a little bit less secure. The rear dial placement is also a little too close to the corner, and I find that a few times that my strap accidentally turns it and changes my setting. The back joystick is, well, perhaps my biggest disappointment. It's too sensitive to presses, and this makes changing AF points a hit and miss case, and I often do it a few more times before I get the desired point. But what I can't argue is the placement of the buttons. I love it. I love the prominent position of the white balance, ISO, and exposure compensation buttons, and the big fat red record button. They are just at the right places, and you can remember them pretty quickly. Another triumph is the focus selector switch, and I love the simplicity of it. Single, continuous, and menu. Just a simple turn, and bam, you're done. The front record button is perhaps the only button that I dislike. As a photographer, I use it when I'm filming, but when I'm shooting stills, I keep hitting the button whenever I switch from horizontal to vertical orientation. And I keep thinking, well, why I couldn't take a photo? All because the camera has already started recording video. I know I can disable the button and customize it for something else, and perhaps this is something I have to do and store in camera's custom mode. And finally, the active cooling fans. Well, this is a filming monster machine, capable of some serious resolution and frame rate. But in photography, I think it is overkill and extra perhaps. Doesn't quite make sense. But my concern isn't about having the fan or not, it's about weatherproofness and maintenance. Well, having holes everywhere doesn't inspire me using it in the rain, or even in dusty situations. And also, servicing. Right, I can't take the back panel off, so I'm not entirely sure what will happen when the fan gets a bit clunky and grimy. So at this moment in time, my GH6 works fine, but I can't be sure in a couple of years. Well, only time will tell, of course. Whether you like the boxer design or not, it is now becoming a Panasonic signature. The design is now tied to its full-frame design. The clunkiness may suit some bigger photographer with bigger hands, but I think it may be just a little bit too big for an average-sized adult and perhaps too big for a female photographer. One of the biggest things about the GH6 when it was first announced was the brand new 25 megapixel sensor. It's the highest resolution in the entire Micro Four Thirds world. And that until, of course, its sister G9 Mark II came a few weeks ago. So at present, Panasonic holds the crown in terms of sheer megapixel number on the sensor. I'm not going to comment on resolution in details here, and if you want to see exactly how much difference between 25 from Panasonic and 20 from OM System, remember to stay tuned for my comparison between the two. And I will, of course, do another comparison between the GH6 and G9 Mark II for the sheer image quality comparison when it comes to my studio in the near future. But rather talk about it, here are some examples that I shot for my professional shoots over the past couple of months. Enjoy! As you can see, in real use, I see no significant difference between the OM1 and the GH6. This is my personal experience having used the 20 megapixel Olympus and OM System cameras for the past 6 years, against the new 25 megapixel sensor in the GH6. Dynamic range and noise detail seems to be pretty on par against each other. But if I have to be technical, GH6 does have more shadow noise in the lower ISO setting than the OM1. But as I now involve DxO's Pure Raw as part of my workflow, these nuisances have basically been completely eliminated before my final edits anyway. So they don't usually present a problem. That being said, high ISO setting will cost the image some sharpness, with some lost in details. However, the final result may not be as evident as some may think, simply because of the 50% bump in resolution. So printing a same size image against a low resolution OM or Olympus file, they look identical at the same settings. And this also helps by the fact that the lack of low pass filter on the GH6 means that you will get visibly sharper details, but also has a tendency to moire. I certainly find it problematic in some isolated cases when photographing my clients with a certain type of clothing fabric. Again, the latest generation of Micro Four Thirds camera has pushed the boundary in terms of image quality to a new level, especially when you compare to a 5-year-old model such as EM1 Mark II, G9, and GH5. The GH6 will be the last Panasonic flagship camera to feature its infamous DFD autofocus system. Despite many hates in our beloved cyberspace, if you're a point-to-point sniper photographer, you will love the DFD, as I find out myself. using the GH6 for my portrait shoots is dead quick and super accurate, something that I didn't expect at all, despite having only 350 contrast detect areas. In essence, I'm saying that in single AF mode, the GH6 may be one of the quickest cameras in the world. But what it falls short is in continuous mode. Panasonic has tried many years to perfect the DFD so it can do what the PDAF can do. And to give Panasonic some kudos, well, even for my occasional continuous burst shooting with my people in action, shows that DFD is indeed effective, if not super quick. But what annoys me though, or rather what pushed me off, is how the system being projected through the viewfinder. The famous DFD pulsing is even worse under CAF in photo modes. In other words, I can't be sure whether the camera has captured any focus photo until I check the images after the action was over. Well, this is certainly not confidence inspiring. So I just let the system do its thing and trust it to capture the shots and hope for the best. And I would say that the hit rate in moderate speed movement to be around 50% and anything with running speed to be around 30% and in some cases lower. And this doesn't compare very well to OM system PDAF's 90 and 70% respective results. GH6 also features subject recognition and tracking. While human face and eyes tracking is pretty accurate and reliable, same thing can't be said with animals. I found that the system takes a while to lock on, especially when the subject is further away from the camera. And quite often, it focuses on the foreground instead too. And the only workaround is to switch off tracking and use single AF point instead. One thing I really like is the implementation of eye detection toggle switch. A single press on the AF selection button and just use the D-pad to toggle on and off. And that is pretty slick. I also like how Panasonic implements manual focus assist, especially magnify. Olympus and OM system both have full screen magnifying, meaning that I can easily lose sight on the composition if I'm not careful. And of course, I can disable it and check before I press the shutter button. But this adds another extra step and makes me slower. The GH6, however, has the magnify window in the center of the viewfinder, allowing me to see the rest of the frame around it. So I won't lose sight on the surrounding and the composition. So I really like it. And this is the experience that Panasonic has from its filmmakers who love using manual focus lenses for filmmaking. But as an occasional manual focus photographer, I really appreciate this approach just a little more. Another note is that somehow the focus peaking assist is a tad more accurate than the OM system cameras. Still, for critical focus, I will still need to punch in and double check. However, if the subject is close enough to the camera, I can totally rely on the peaking with the GH6. While DFD is one of the fastest single point focus in the world, GH6 is still ultimately a video-centric camera. So it lacks some of the photographic speed that many of us has become accustomed to. Burst shooting in particular, broadly speaking, is half the speed of OM1, and even worse when compared to its new sister camera, the G9 Mark II. Don't get me wrong though, it's still fast enough for my portrait shoots in any given time. But if you're the type of photographer who needs fast frame rates to capture that perfect burst in flight or an F-16 fly past, well, you may find yourself lacking just a little bit. Both the OM1 and the new G9 Mark II has pre-capture buffer for those unexpected moments. And the GH6? Well, nothing. Not even 6K photo mode from previous GH series cameras that allows you to extract a frame from a video clip. And in that regard, well, you need to operate the GH6 like a traditional DSLR from yesteryear. In line with recent Panasonic camera designs, the GH6 has a pretty big buffer when it comes to swallowing up a sequence of photos acquired from high-speed shooting. At any given FPS, you are getting basically double the amount of photos before the buffer is full, let's say compared to the OM1. And better still, the GH6 can clear the buffer quicker than any Micro Four Thirds cameras to date, including the brand new G9 Mark II, all thanks to the included CF Express card. If you set it to, use it for photos, of course. But the OM1 is no slouch though. Definitely not, because it can still rise as fast as the Type 2 SD card offers. And the same can't be said with the brand new G9 Mark II, which rises at a much slower speed. The thing is, IBIS in Micro Four Thirds cameras have improved to the point that you won't notice any differences in the past few years. Number is one thing, but in real life use, well, it's just almost indistinguishable between all the flagship cameras to date. But if I have to compare specs, and you know you like the numbers, right? GH6 has a maximum of 7.5 stop of IBIS when used with dual IS, compared to OM1's 8 stop and G9 Mark II's 8.5 stop. And that's crazy. And thanks to this crazy IBIS, the GH6 is the first to offer 100 megapixel handheld high-res mode, and when combined with the motion correction, you will get some usable high-resolution photos in some situations. But still, it's scenes dependent. And if there are some fast-moving cars with lights on, you will still see some unwanted artifacts. Enough said about the tech stuff. As a photographer, I value viewfinder as much as the lenses themselves, because it's the window to my creativity. And many of you may agree that I would pay more for a camera that has a better viewfinder. While the GH6 3.68 million EVF is more than sufficient, I just much prefer OM1's 5.7 million EVF for its sheer clarity. It's like bumping or jumping from a 4HD TV to a 4K TV. GH6 uses BLK22E battery and has a CPAL rating of just 360 shots. But in real life, I get much more than that, perhaps like 500 before it runs flat. But it's still full well shot when compared to my OM1, which I can easily get around 700 to 800 shots before the red lights start blinking. And to be frank, I was left a little disappointed with the figure. And it means that I need to carry at least 2 spare battery with me for any given working day, while I can keep shooting with the OM1 with just 1 spare battery, just in case. When recording video, GH6 battery can last around 45 minutes to an hour, while the OM1 can easily last around 90 minutes in 4K shooting. And if you're a ProRes guy, which the GH6 can do, yeah, you basically will get less. To counter that, you can get a dummy AC power battery pack for the GH6 and plug it directly to a power source for longer shootings, or use the USB-C PD and a power bank. But that is not really an option for a photographer, because it just gets way too clumsy and cumbersome. Right, this is a photographer's review of the GH6, but it is a video monster, and I just want to touch base on some specs that basically tops every single Micro Four Thirds cameras to date. Ready for that? Here we go. First of all is the highest resolution Micro Four Thirds camera with 5.7K shooting at 60p, open gate with dedicated anamorphic support, 4K DCI up to 120p, 10-bit 422 up to 4K 60, 420 up to 4K 120 and 6K anamorphic, super slow-mo at up to 300p in 4HD. Whew, man, the list can go on. I just want to stop right here. It is quite overwhelming, to be quite honest, and definitely much more than any average videographer or occasional shooter would ever need. However, if you want to grow in the world of videography, the GH6 is definitely future-proof by itself. Many may not consider Panasonic GX series as a photographic camera. However, as demonstrated, it is definitely a very capable machine that allows me to do my jobs efficiently. It may lack the finesse and polish as a photographic camera like my OM1, but it does allow me to take pictures with confidence. And the colors is also pretty decent too. The reason I got the GH6 is that my work agency now requires high-resolution files, something that they haven't changed for years. And GH6's new 25 megapixel sensor provides just what I need for my paid jobs. But having played around with it for the past couple of months, I've grown to like it as a hybrid camera. However, the G9 Mark II is here, and it's arriving soon on my doorstep. And on paper, it's even better suited for my use as a photography-centric content creator. Well, you'll have to wait for my full review after a few months for the G9 Mark II. Remember, I usually don't like to do proper reviews without actually using the camera in my jobs. So you can get the full flavor of what I think as a portrait photographer. Another note is that if you haven't used DFD before, and if you have a shooting style like me, you still have a chance to snap up a GH6 before the next GH with PDF arrives in 2024. because GH6 is currently heavily discounted in a lot of camera stores, and you can get it cheaper than the new G9 Mark II and the OM1. So, a lot to think about. But my take is that GH6 surprises me in a lot of ways, in good ways. And the efficiency of DFD, the sharpness from the sensor without low-pass filter, the button and dial layouts, all very positive. But I still prefer the OM1 in terms of operation fluidity and the overall snappiness from its AF system. But it depends on your needs. If you want a flagship camera or hybrid camera for less than £1,500 with high-end professional level video capabilities, this may be the last shine you can score before the last DFD Lumix flagship camera disappear from the shelves. Well, that's it, folks. I hope you find this review useful and informative. Let me know your experience with GH6 if you have one, or if you're considering getting one if you are new to Micro Four Thirds. Or better still, if you want to add one to your arsenal on top of your existing Lumix camera or Olympus OM system cameras. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's it. You know what to do now. Thumb if you like this video and sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography, filmmaking, and of course, Micro Four Thirds. Peace. Welcome to my bonus sections, and I hope you enjoy the review and my take on the GH6. Yes, I like it, and it's another flagship camera. You know, who doesn't want a flagship camera in any case anyway? Yep, the OM1, GH6, and the forthcoming G9 Mark II, they're all brilliant cameras. And as a portrait photographer, you know, I was quite impressed with what the GH6 can do as a photographic camera. I know it's primarily gunning for the filmmakers and video sector, but yeah, it's a camera nonetheless. It has a shutter button. You can change ISO, white balance, and whatnot. You know, it has burst shooting. It has a very capable DFD single shooting mode. Not so much CAF, but yeah, in single shooting, yeah, this is actually pretty effective. And the low pass filter, or lack of, is actually pretty awesome. You know, when you look at the files, it's noticeably sharper because it's just, yeah, you know what a low pass filter is anyway. It's basically trying to eliminate moire in certain patterns and things like that, which the OM1 has. It's really no better or worse depending on what sort of style shooting you do. And for portrait, because you do photograph a lot of people, you know, when they wear different clothing, different fabrics, and that, I think OM1 is better shoot for that particular application. And the G9 Mark II and the GH6 both without low pass filter. So yeah, you will see sharper details, but the problem is that you will get moire in some cases, and you just have to demoire in post editing. So it's just extra step, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it is okay. You know, I personally quite enjoy shooting the GH6. This is probably the camera I will keep because of the filmmaking capabilities that I have with this guy here. And I know the G9 Mark II can do similar thing to the GH6, but still, I think, you know, at least on paper right now, the GH6 still has a lot to offer into the video side. It has a fan. That means that you can shoot in bright, hot sunny day without having to worry about overheating if you shoot high frame rates and high resolutions in a prolonged period, and this will still survive potentially. And I do like that it's included the CF Express card slot, because I know many of you may not really want to increase the cost because the CF Express card are expensive, but they are also a lot faster. That helps in clearing buffer that I mentioned in the video for photos, but also when it comes to video, you can transfer the files back to your computers way quicker than SD cards. And you know, many of you may not care in that extent, but as a pro, I need to turn out project really fast and I want to do things really quick. Every second helps, you know, and CF Express cards, you know, is, you know, quite a bit faster than even the fastest Type 2 SD cards for both write and read. So that is really cool. Yeah, I think I don't have anything to say about the GH6 other than the stuff that already said in the review video that you just saw. Maybe another thing is that, yes, I do like Micro Four Thirds. Why? Because you can use both OM system and Lumix lenses, you know, on either cameras, well, or either brands. You know, the all-in-one at the moment, I'm using Lumix lens, and also the GH6, I'm using OM system lens. Interchangeable, brilliant. You got a huge arsenal of variety of lenses that you can choose from, even third-party like Laowa, Viltrox, you know, TT Artisan, 7 Artisan. There are a ton of lenses and choices out there that you will never ever get bored. And it's just a big, massive platform. I think that it will be very good and very suitable for a lot of photographers and creators out there. And also, price are very reasonable too, which is the main thing. Especially, you can see the prices of full-frame camera these days. They are just extortionate. And yeah, I'm not trying to discount them. I use full-frame myself. I also use APS-C cameras. As you know, that I got Nikon ZF-C now, soon ZF. And but yeah, it's just something that I just want to highlight the strength of Micro Four Thirds system. And as a content creator, as a job, even paid jobs, you know, it's capable. Don't get fooled by some people saying that if you're a pro, go full frame. No. It's your brain, it's your creativity, it's your vision that counts at the end of the day. And I think they are all capable, to be quite honest. Micro Four Thirds, as you can see from the video, my photos, they're all paid jobs. You know, you can see all the photo quality is, you know, I think they are good. Great, even. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you up all later. And remember to stay tuned and subscribe to my channel for all my future contents relating to, yeah, these cameras here and the upcoming G9 Mark II whenever it turns up in my studio. Yeah, I'm still waiting for that. So that will be exciting. So I have a lot to come. Just have to be a little bit patient because I don't like to rush reviews. And because I just want to get a full flavor, like I mentioned, doing some jobs and then to see how it works and give you some proper, real-life, professional job photos so you can see the quality yourself. Cool. Anyway, see you all later. Bye for now.